The main question on everyone's mind is global conflict inevitable? Imagine a blinding flash brighter than the sun, a fireball as hot as the surface of a star, and a city like New York reduced to ash in seconds. The aftermath? Millions died, radiation poisoning spread like wildfire, and a nuclear winter plunged the world into darkness. It sounds like science fiction, but with today's escalating tensions and massive nuclear arsenals, could this be the future Revelation warned us about? Is global conflict truly inevitable? When you think about the Book of Revelation, its vivid descriptions of apocalyptic events like scorching heat and fireballs feel eerily similar to what we imagine during a nuclear explosion. Picture this, a nuclear bomb detonates in a bustling city like New York. The flash is so bright that it blinds people miles away, followed by a massive fireball that reduces everything in its path to ash. Revelation's imagery of destruction, fire from the sky and unbearable heat, doesn't feel like some ancient metaphor anymore. The aftermath described in the prophecy, with widespread death and devastation, lines up chillingly with what nuclear fallout could look like. Radiation poisoning, shadows of people burned to the ground, and a total collapse of life as we know it. These aren't just hypothetical, they're within the realm of possibility. And this is not just some far-off sci-fi scenario. The United States and Russia collectively possess thousands of nuclear warheads, enough to obliterate the planet multiple times over. If even one of these goes off, as experts have simulated, the devastation would be unimaginable. A single 10-kiloton bomb in New York City would leave millions dead in minutes, with millions more fighting for survival against radiation and collapsing infrastructure. The level of destruction Revelation predicts doesn't feel like a stretch when you consider what these weapons can do. It's like a prophecy that's been waiting for humanity to catch up technologically.
These are images of the once pristine turquoise waters of Mauritius, now stained black as oil spreads into the Indian Ocean. On July 25th, a Japanese tanker carrying nearly 4,000 tons of fuel was on its way to Brazil from China when it struck the reef on the southeast coast of the island. The ship has since leaked an estimated 1,000 tons of oil.
Now, let's talk about Revelation's third of the sea turned to blood. Doesn't that remind you of modern environmental disasters? Oil spills, ocean acidification, and even the eerie red tides caused by pollution seems to echo this grim imagery. If nuclear war were to happen, the fallout could poison oceans, wiping out marine ecosystems in a matter of days. Worse still is the nuclear winter that would follow. The soot and ash from the explosions would block sunlight, plunging the Earth into a cold, dark state. This ties into Revelation's darkened sun and moon, creating a scenario where crops fail, animals die, and humanity faces mass starvation. The parallels are startling, right? Technology makes things even more terrifying. Revelation talks about a beast, something that could be interpreted as a symbol of humanity's blind resilience on destructive technologies. Think about AI-driven weapons or autonomous drones capable of deciding life and death on their own. It's chilling to consider how quickly things could spiral out of control if these systems malfunctioned or were deliberately weaponized. The prophecy feels less like an ancient symbolism and more like a reflection of the risks we're willingly walking into. As the warnings in Revelations parallel modern technology and environmental disasters, the escalating geopolitical tensions around the world paint an even grimmer picture, one where the balance of power hangs by a thread.
In the city of Dnipro last night, the missiles rained down. Multiple streams that kept on coming. But these weren't ordinary missiles, and the attack has taken the conflict to a whole new level. In a televised address, Vladimir Putin confirmed Russia had fired a new hypersonic medium-range ballistic missile, a response to what he called escalation from the West.
You don't need to look far to see how shaky global peace is right now. The United States and Russia are constantly at odds, with tensions over Ukraine reaching boiling points. Add China into the mix, with its growing rivalry against the US, and it's like watching a powder keg slowly ignite. Countries like these, armed to the teeth with nuclear weapons, are more than capable of turning the world into ashes. And it's not just about individual nations anymore. Alliances like NATO on one side and groups like BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa on the other, are creating a global divide. It's not just tension, it's a full-on tug of war for dominance. The flashpoints are everywhere. Think about Taiwan, where China's aggressive stance could easily provoke US intervention, or Eastern Europe, where Russia's invasion of Ukraine has already sent shockwaves across the world. And let's not forget the Middle East, where long-standing conflicts could flare up and drag major powers into the fray. These aren't just isolated issues, they're pieces of a bigger puzzle that's pushing us closer to the brink. Militarization is another major factor. Countries are pouring billions into their defense budgets, building bigger and more advanced weapons. Russia's nuclear arsenal and NATO's military presence in Europe are constantly on edge, with both sides testing each other's limits. Meanwhile, China's rapid military expansion is forcing its neighbors and Western allies to ramp up their defenses. It's like everyone is gearing up for a fight no one wants to admit is coming. And here's the kicker. History has shown us how these kinds of tensions play out. World War I started because of a series of miscalculations and alliances and dragged everyone into conflict. World War II wasn't much different, with global powers underestimating each other until it was too late. The parallels to today's situation are impossible to ignore, and the stakes are higher than ever with nuclear weapons in play. Then there's the role of AI. Advanced technology could either prevent or escalate a global war, depending on how it's used. AI simulations have already predicted how a third world war might unfold, and it's not a pretty picture. The scariest part? Autonomous weapon systems can make decisions without human intervention, potentially misfiring or launching attacks that spiral into full-blown conflict. It's like handing over the keys to the apocalypse and hoping for the best. With the world already a powder keg of rising tensions, Revelation's haunting depictions of desperation and lawlessness come startling to life when imagining the aftermath of a global conflict. Could this be the bleak future humanity is hurling toward?
The death toll now has risen above that of the SARS outbreak 17 years ago.
We now have a name for the disease, COVID-19.
I was at a hospital the other night where I think there were actually a few coronavirus patients, and I shook hands with everybody.
The Book of Revelation vividly depicts famine, disease, and lawlessness, mirroring what a post-nuclear world might look like. Cities reduced to rubble leave survivors scrambling for necessities, with fallout shelters as overcrowded refuges. Outside, chaos reigns as food, water, and medical supplies run out, tearing society apart in desperate struggles for survival. Revelation's warnings feel less like a prophecy and more like a grim preview of unchecked destruction. Then comes nuclear winter, a phenomenon as devastating as the explosions themselves. The soot and ash from detonations rise into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and plunging Earth into darkness. Temperatures drop sharply, crops fail, and starvation sets in. In crowded shelters or hastily built camps, unsanitary conditions create the perfect breeding ground for disease. Without enough doctors, medicines, or clean water, illnesses spread like wildfire. You can almost feel Revelation's descriptions of plagues coming to life. For those who make it this far, survival isn't just about enduring the cold. It's about navigating a world where hope feels like a distant memory.
And promising that he would end the war in, quote, 24 hours. So in this video, we're going to explain why Trump wants to end the war in Ukraine, his plan to do so, and how he would manage to coax Zelensky and Putin to the table.
Still, there's a faint glimmer of something positive here. Revelation's message about resilience among the faithful could be seen as a call for communities to band together. Modern examples show how people, even in the worst conditions, can rebuild using renewable energy, growing their food, and creating cooperative networks. It's not just about surviving, it's about refusing to give up entirely. After exploring the chilling parallels between Revelation's prophecies and today's threats, one burning question remains. Is this apocalyptic outcome truly inevitable? Or is there a way for humanity to rewrite its destiny?
Said, if the two countries carry on in the current course, war is inevitable. And what is striking is how you have military commanders, ex-military commanders, talking up the idea that China's ready to take Taiwan.
Human history shows a repeating cycle of war and peace, with conflicts over resources and power disrupting even the most stable times. Technological advancements meant to improve life often fuel destruction, like the nuclear arms race, where one mistake could end civilization. Failures of international institutions only add to the tension, making global conflict seem inevitable. But there's hope. Technology can also prevent disasters through innovations like AI conflict resolution and renewable energy addressing resource scarcity. Global movements for disarmament remind us that humanity can still choose collaboration over destruction. Revelation's vision of a new heaven and new earth isn't just about divine intervention. It's about the possibility of redemption. Governments need to commit to nuclear disarmament, and individuals like you and me can advocate for ethical technology use and global unity. Faith communities play a vital role too, promoting understanding and compassion in a world that desperately needs it. So, does this prophecy align with what you see happening today? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.